We encounter a lot of quantitative methods, or the results of quantitative methods, everywhere we look. So in journalism, in all sorts of different jobs you encounter. And certainly in academic work, you constantly encounter claims that people make about the world via numbers. So it's really important to know something about the methods that produce these kinds of claims, to be a good consumer of information in the world. The second thing is it's important for people to be able to do their own quantitative analysis. Increasingly, because there's so much data out there, we have a series of lectures in which we introduce students to the key elements of the research process. So starting from how do we turn things in the world into numbers? How do we measure concepts in the world and turn those into numbers that we can work with? And then going all the way through the process of designing research and starting to do analysis and then trying to interpret that analysis. So this series of lectures takes them really right from the beginning of thinking about a research question to interpreting the results of quantitative analysis about that question. In parallel to that, we have students in a lab doing their own practical work with data. So they learn to do some simple programming that is what I and other researchers do when we do research with quantitative methods. So they basically learn to do the kind of research that they're reading about. The way we know that things are working is we hear back from people who are teaching some of the subject courses here at Oxford. So for example, people teaching political sociology or comparative government or international relations. These are people who teach students in tutorials in groups of 2 or 3. And what they tell me is that the students are coming to them with new kinds of questions about the readings compared to before we had this program, QSTEP at Oxford. The kinds of questions they're asking now delve deeper into the quantitative methods that are being used. They ask questions about, well, so how is this actually measured? Does it make sense to measure it this way? I think in lots of different fields, people have to evaluate evidence, generate evidence in order to make decisions. And these days, there's so much data out there, and the tools for analyzing it are so easily available that you tend to see lots of claims based on data analysis. What's changing is it's becoming easier to do this analysis, actually. So it's much more accessible than it once was. So people who were doing this kind of thing 40 years ago, there'd be a room at the university with a huge computer, and you'd come in with punch cards and stuff, and you'd have like rent time on the computer, et cetera. So that's changed entirely. Everyone could do the analysis on their phone if they needed to. And the data is more available than ever also. So the thing that's changed the most, I would say, is not the methods we use, but just the ease with which we can access the data and apply the methods. What I like about teaching and using quantitative methods is that these are concrete skills that you can sit down and develop on your own or with the help of a teacher that can just be applied in so many different ways.